So, what is the most violent religion in history? Hey guys, it's John sitting here in the studio with my mug of water. Already finished my coffee today. I hope that you're doing well wherever you are. You know, in many of my videos, I reference the fact that Christianity is the deadliest religion in the world. And I often get people who come at me saying, it is not, it's Islam that is the deadliest. Well, I thought if I'm going to make those claims, I should actually back you up with the real statistics. What is the most violent religion in history? Well, statistically, the deadliest religion is Christianity, but especially under Catholicism. The truth is even darker than most believers want to admit. What's really interesting about the modern Christian ideology is that they try to demonize Islam. Well, Islam is a religion that, like Christianity, is based in peace and love, but has these atrocities within them that create division and hate. The fact that they have both religions have given up the idea that we're all humans on this planet and that you have to believe in a certain ideology, it creates the division, which creates the violence. But what happens when you actually look at the numbers? Because the numbers don't lie. The numbers are exactly what tell us which religion is the deadliest. Christianity, especially through Catholicism, has been responsible for more death and cultural annihilation and war than any other religion in human history. And it's not even close. Islam does not even come close. The native cultures were wiped out by Catholicism. South and Central America were so wiped out by Catholicism that Pope Francis apologized to South and Central America for what the Catholic Church did. The Spanish and Portuguese conquests in the 15th to 17th centuries were explicitly backed by the Church. In the papal bulls like Dum Diversus in 1452 and the Inter Cetera in 1493, gave kings permission to enslave and conquer in the name of Christianity. Entire civilizations were destroyed. The Aztec, the Maya, the Inca. Estimated deaths in Native American genocide estimates between 50 and 100 million deaths across North and South America due to the conquest, slavery, disease spread through colonial policy, and missionary enforcement. That death toll exceeds any religious conflict in Islamic history. In the 16th century, Bartolomé de las Casas said, and he was a Spanish priest, he said, "What we committed in the Indies stands out among the most unpardonable offenses ever committed against God and mankind." Then you get into the Inquisition and the religious terror of that, Catholic persecution of other Christians. America was formed by people running away from Catholicism, and then that Christian branch came to the Americas and wiped out the Native Americans, and persecuted and drove them off their lands. And when I was, I'm from the East Coast of the United States, and you always see like the Lenape this, the Lenape that. The Lenape tribe was based in Delaware. Now they're based in Oklahoma. Why? Because they were marched there by the conquerors who came in to flee religious persecution of the Catholics. Now, the Catholic Inquisition from 1184 to 1834, look at that now, 1184 to 1834. You're talking about 700 years. It led to hundreds of thousands tortured or executed as heretics, burned as witches. Early Protestants, the Cathars, the Gnostics, and even scientists, Galileo, were targeted. In 1986, the Catholic Church forgave Galileo for the world not being flat because it took them till 1986. You know what else happened in 1986? Ferris Bueller's Day Off came out, and Big Trouble in Little China came out in the movie theaters. So at the time Ferris Bueller was in the theaters, the church was finally saying it's okay for the world not to be flat. And those sort of hardline ideologies killed a ton of people up until that point. It was heresy to say the world was round. Christians were killing Christians over their doctrines, over their ideas. The word Protestant itself means protesting Catholicism. You're a Protestant because you're protesting the doctrines of Catholics. Let's talk about some numbers. Numbers are debated, of course, but the conservative estimates place Inquisition deaths alone at 30,000 to 300,000 over 600 years. The Crusades spanning from 1096 to 1291, death tolls estimate 1 to 3 million, and always justified as God willed it. The colonial expansion from 1500 to 1900, the missionary work was used to cover resource plundering and slavery. The doctrine of discovery was used by Catholic nations to seize lands not ruled by Christians. The death toll of this colonialization is interesting because the conservative estimate is that 50 to 100 million deaths through conquest, slavery, and famine. They starved them out. So then we move into the modern era. George Bush Jr. literally told the Iraqi crown prince, this is the actual quote, "I'm driven with a mission from God. God would tell me, George, go and fight those terrorists in Afghanistan." And I did. And then God would tell me, George, go fight the tyranny in Iraq. And I did. He literally was saying that his Christian God told him to go attack Afghanistan and Iraq. And the interesting thing is, the estimated death toll, the Iraq War, over 1 million deaths, including civilian casualties. And this was justified by George Bush's Christian God. If you look at it from the statistical comparison between Christianity and Islam, Christianity, the total estimated deaths over history, the conquest, the Crusades, the Inquisition, colonialism, war, is 100 to 150 million deaths. Islamic-related wars and over 1,400 years estimates between 20 to 30 million. So you're talking about less than a third of what Christianity has done. Islamic terrorism has seemed to be in the headlines all the time. It pales in comparison to the state-sponsored Christian violence and Christian empires that have had far more time, imperial reach, and systemic power. It's not about guilt, but it's about truth. Acknowledging the past frees us from repeating it. Acknowledging that the church's version of history is sanitized to make themselves look more loving and caring, but their history says something far different. It's uncomfortable for them to hear this, and they get mad at me. They get angry at me for saying it's the deadliest religion in the world. But there is by no religion even close in comparison to the violence and death that's been created by Christianity. My friend Jeshua would be appalled because he was all about loving one another. In the Bible, it says that you shall know them by their fruits. Well, the fruits of Christianity have been death and murder and slavery and kicking people off their lands. These fruits are pretty bitter if you think about it. They're damaging to the world. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com. Jeshua, the guy that I call Jeshua, people would call him Jesus, I call him Jeshua. He never killed anybody. He never forced a conversion. He never burned a village. But his name has been used to do all three. If Christianity wants to claim a moral authority, it must start by telling the truth about the blood on its hands. It's got to start letting people know that, yes, these things did happen. Like Francis did when he apologized to South and Central America. But to deny that Christianity itself has caused more death than any other religion in the world is sheer blindness. It's sheer avoidance of fact. And the reality of it is if you truly want to follow Jeshua, if you truly want to follow Jesus, start loving one another. Christianity is statistically the deadliest religion in the world, bar none. Islam is not even close. But I will say this. Islam is second deadliest religion in the world. There's no other religion deadlier than those two. I think all religion needs to go away, and we need to get back to simply loving one another. Before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham being the representation of the Abrahamic line of religions, Christianity and Islam both being part of the Abrahamic line, Joshua said, before Abraham was, I am. Before that ideology of those religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and even Baha'i, which claims to be part of the Abrahamic line, he said, go back before there was a religion and just simply love and care for one another. I leave you one commandment, love one another. And it does not say, I leave you one commandment, follow the rules of this and the laws of that and do what Paul told you to do. Never said any of those things. Jesus never knew Paul. That's in the Bible. Paul claims that he had a vision of him, but he never knew him. So let's let the religions go and come back to loving one another. You know, this denialism of the blood on the hands of Christianity doesn't help promote your cause. It just creates more division and more hate. And I think that you can be devoted to the teachings of Joshua, but you have to come back to the idea that he talked about love, not trying to subjugate people to your faith. And I know that I'm going to get a whole bunch of stuff on the guff on this one. I'm going to get a bunch of guff. That's what I'm going to get. But in that guff that I get, I understand that vitriol that comes back to me is the reason why it's the deadliest religion in the world. People standing on their line saying, this is truth and you're all wrong, is what creates the wars, creates the death. And it also creates the trauma. I help people every day who've been traumatized by Christianity. And what do they come out of it with? Happier lives, joyful lives. And they also come out to be more loving people. And so that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.